Howdy, you still there? Hey dudes, B Junior coming to you from B Junior's Movie Cave on Endurance Productions Movie Cave channel. Gonna do part 2 today, guys, of the evolution of movie packaging. That's right, in terms of quality. The degrade, if you will. Got my trusty coffee here, got a little freshening up of it. Yes, we've covered VHS so far, Laserdisc. Now we're going to get more into the optical formats of our time now, guys. What I'm talking about right now is going to be DVD, HD DVD, and Blu-ray. Now I'm going to include HD DVD in there because you'll see in a little while there's a purpose for doing that. Of course, just to recap, if you haven't seen part 1, go back and sneak a peek at that, and so you'll know more about where I'm coming from in this video. It's extreme nerdy movie geek time now, guys. We're going to go down the road of DVD first. Where I'm coming from, guys, is I'm talking about every time we have a different format, there's always that trend of starting out with great quality in the movie packaging, and then as time goes on, you see that gradual degrade in quality. And I've got some visuals picked out, as before in part 1, that I'm going to talk to you about today and show you my reasons why and where I'm coming from. These visuals that I picked out too, guys, as I said before in part 1, they're just random choices off the shelf that just kind of fit the need. They're not picked out for any special reason or anything of that nature. Getting into DVD, when you think special edition DVD, you want a nice package. You didn't have to take up a whole lot of room because we're all into saving. Most everybody that's movie collectors are into saving room on shelf now. Thank God Blu-ray and HD DVD at least got the hint early on to make the package just a little bit bigger than the disc, because over time, if you collect enough movies, you're always going to need that shelf space. Because I'm a guy that likes his packages, guys. I'm not with the instant downloads, the instant views. Don't like that. I like something for my money. That's right. I like to have it. I like to hold it. But in doing that, I've noticed over time the degradation of quality in the packaging. That's right. Pulled out a James Bond flick on my DVDs here. To start off, most of these older DVDs that came out in the late 90s had heavier packaging, much like the VHS ones that I told you about before. It was a sturdier plastic. Hear that? No flimsiness in the middle. You know, no eco-friendly there, nothing like that. You know, we didn't care about it then, I guess. It's all sturdy around the edges. There's no openings, nothing like that. You pop it open. When you think special edition too, I'm going to talk about the quality as we go along too. It's a lot of times when you look for a good DVD representation of yesteryear, and I can say that now, it had good cover art on the disc itself. You could expect either a chapter listing at least, or a little booklet in these James Bond ones that told you about behind the scenes of the movie, where it was shot. You know, a little 5 to 8 pager. Nothing fancy, but you were getting something for your money. It truly lived up to the moniker there, special edition. Whenever you got it, good snapping there. It stays together. If you drop it, 9 times out of 10, it's going to stay together. It's not going to open up and the disc go flying out. But also on the back cover, they usually give you a good rundown on special features, a good synopsis, good stills from the movie. No computer generated or Adobe or photoshopped stills or anything like that. Usually a lot of these older DVDs too stayed pretty much true to the theme of the original cover art on a lot of these, or the original one-sheet posters as well. Tells you the screen format at the bottom. There's no worrying about if it's widescreen, whatever. You know what it is. You know what you're getting. It's good and sturdy. Good and sturdy, guys. That's what you think about when you want to pay your money. At least a few years ago, this is what you got in DVD. Now, you know, in DVD, whenever it first come out, Warner Brothers. Let's talk about this. This is kind of a side note thing I was wanting to tell you about. Should have probably started with this one, but we'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit. You're seeing less and less of these today, and what I'm, of course, referring to is good old snapper case. That's right. When Warner Brothers took the dive into DVD, among other studios, they said, we're going to be different. And I think New Line jumped on the boat too, because I believe somewhere around that time frame they were acquired by Warner Brothers, or somehow the rights got to these films where they had to be on snapper cases like the Warner Brothers films. Me personally, when they first come out, let me tell you the truth here, I actually didn't have a problem with snapper cases. In fact, my two first DVDs that I ever purchased was Out for Justice with Steven Seagal and Salem's Lot, both in snapper cases. I bought them when Circuit City was around. Circuit City is even gone now. Could it have been the curse of the snapper case? We don't know. Anyway, guys, I digress. The snapper case still had good snapping on that side there, but it was an all-cork cardboard cover for all intents and purposes with just a plastic backing behind the DVD. Now, a lot of these older Warner Bros. Ones came with a good little booklet that told you about their upcoming releases, nothing fancy about the film, but it did have kind of a cover art insert there with chapter listings on it. These weird little proof of purchases that I never really used for anything. And of course, these older DVDs that first came out were flipper discs that had full screen and widescreen, because at that time in the late 90s, early 2000s, widescreen TVs hadn't become the norm yet like they are now. Personally, when they first came out, I didn't have a problem with snapper cases, but I found out over time, what's the main thing about these that everybody hates? When they're on the shelf, they don't mate up good with their plastic counterparts. They're always either getting in front of it with a flap, and you have to sit there and play with it to get them to sit in there right. They stand just a little bit taller than their plastic counterparts. See, you can see it there, just a couple millimeters. But when you start stacking stuff on top of them, they don't stack well. They don't fit in good beside anything. They don't even fit in beside each other. I mean, when you try to put snapper cases in beside each other, you have to keep fiddling with them because the little lip of the snap there keeps getting caught on each other. I mean, I know this sounds uber nerdy, guys, but that's what we're here to talk about today, guys. And it's okay to be a nerd in the movie cave. So, but another major gripe about snapper cases, these earlier ones, it's all cardboard. If just a dash of water gets thrown on it, if you bring it in the rain or something of that nature, it's ruined. I mean, it's just totally ruined. Paper gets ruined, guys, for whatever reason. You drop a book on it with a sharp edge or sharp corner or whatnot, it's going to make a dent in it. It's going to scratch it. You're just screwed. You can't just change the DVD case out that has the plastic covering over the insert if you want to look nice on your shelf. You're just going to have to deal with it or get another one, if that's your thing. It did provide about the same amount of protection for the disc itself, but look right here. You probably can't see it on the video, but these things bubble up over time, and dust and all kinds of stuff can be stuck down in between there to get to your disc. It's not a great way to do it, and I think over time Warner Brothers saw that, and you see a lot of their newer releases that came out afterwards, or re-releases if that's a better way of saying it, came out in the traditional plastic case. Now, what we're dealing with today is something called eco-friendly. Let's start talking about eco-friendly. Eco-friendly, at its heart, probably is a good idea. I'm not going to say I like it because I absolutely hate the cases that come out in it. Mainly because, being a movie collector and ultimate movie geek, I like something to protect my discs that I've invested my hard-earned cash in. There's B. Junior's disclaimer, okay? What we're seeing nowadays is not only a loss in cover art on DVDs themselves, the actual disc. You're starting to get a lot of just plain gray labels and plain plastic labels. The one I pulled off the shelf, I think it does have cover art on it. It's Martin by George Romero. This was the re-release that I wanted to get for a while because it's got the anamorphic widescreen transfer. Bought this about a year ago, and I didn't think much of it at the time, but I started seeing, over the last year especially, when you look in these eco-friendly boxes, let me show you here, guys. It says eco-friendly down the middle of the spine. You probably can't see it on the video, but it shows right there, eco-friendly. These seem to be some kind of either recycled DVD case of some kind, because they've got the little pegs in the middle where you can do double discs in there if they need to. But the major gripe about an eco-friendly case, let me take the disc out for a moment, is you get this crap right here. Now I know you're only paying usually somewhere between $3 to $7 for a DVD nowadays on most Walmart shelves and Kmart shelves. But look at this, guys. That's paper right there and right there. It's basically just a place for your DVD to sit until you buy it. That's like they just said, okay, well, we can crank out more copies, But we got to do these new eco-friendlies because there's 25% less, or a third, probably 30% less plastic in there, and it's helping the environment. Guys, I don't care what anybody says. Do something smarter than this. If you were going to do something smarter, you would have switched to the old Blu-ray case size instead of doing that, since there's overall less plastic but more protection. And don't even get me started there, because we're already seeing Blu-ray with this crap. There's no plastic protecting your disc, meaning if a hard book or something, or just a pencil, something is thrown at it, whatever, if you drop this on the corner of a coffee table, if it penetrates right through here, it's going to scratch the disc. And that's probably part of their ploy. They want you to buy more discs. Because ultimately, a lot of studios, not all of them, but a lot of your major studios at the movies, they want to get the almighty dollar. We all know that. I'm not being naive. But we're starting to see the shift, or we have been seeing the shift in DVD especially, it being the standard right now. Blu-ray a good upgrade still at this point in time. But before Blu-ray goes standard, you're going to see more and more of this right here, sad to report. It's even worse on a double disc because you got 2 discs that are being put at risk instead of just 1. So, guys, you know, not saying I'm a fan of this at all. Its inception is, or its idea at its core is that it's supposed to be saving our environment. You can do something better than this to save our environment. Just make the overall package smaller. Switch the standard DVD case to a smaller overall case and fill in the gaps here. Just use the plastic that's being used for all this and make a smaller package. That's all you got to do, because you got 1.5 inches at the top and 1.5 inches at the bottom that is not being used in these cases, and has not been used for, what is it now, 13 years that DVD's been out? Okay, I digress. Martin, this release of DVD that I'm using for my visual, did have some basic cover art on its DVD, but a lot of those that I'm seeing now, I don't have visual handy, are just, especially at Paramount. Paramount's cheaping out a lot, guys. They just have this clear, with just the title on it, and maybe the hour and minutes of the film. That's it. Anyway, there's your degradation or degrade in quality for DVDs.